Good evening. It's Tuesday, February 4th. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Maya Trabulsi. We start with the wait for results. Late today, nearly a full day after the Iowa caucuses, we finally got them. Pete Buttigieg and Bernie Sanders lead the pack, but this is just a partial return with about 2/3 of precincts reporting. The candidates are criticizing the delay as the Iowa Democratic Party tries to explain what happened. Emily Schmidt has the story.
As chair of the party, I apologize deeply for this.
The Democratic Party chair in Iowa taking the heat for Monday's chaotic Iowa caucuses, which left voters and campaigns without any results for nearly 24 hours.
We will have the results out as soon as we can.
Tuesday afternoon, the first numbers finally made public, 62% of the results, but no promises about when all 100% will be released.
We're going to have a thorough and independent review of exactly what happened last night. Right now, we're in the process of making sure that we get these results out.
The first release showed Pete Buttigieg leading the group, followed closely by Bernie Sanders. Elizabeth Warren rounded out the top three. But the campaigns say they want the full picture with all the numbers.
I just don't understand what that means, to release half of the data. So I think they ought to get it together and release all of the data.
The party says there were inconsistencies as a new app was reporting out partial information. Though the party says it was not a cybersecurity problem, it's now a political problem.
There are just some gross failures in the process last night.
President Trump tweeted he blames Democrats for what he calls a voting disaster in Iowa. But in a caucus system known for being up close and a little quirky, like a coin toss deciding delegate ties.
Tails. There you go. You get the delegate.
Campaigns are not happy leaving Iowa with so much still up for grabs. In Washington, I'm Emily Schmidt.
We haven't quite seen a political day like this, and it will continue into the night. For the first time, a president will deliver a State of the Union address during his impeachment trial.
The president may be acquitted, but without a fair trial, he cannot claim to be exonerated.
The voters are voting, and it is up to the voters to decide which policies they want to continue.
Senators are wrapping up debate before a final vote is held tomorrow. They'll be at the Capitol tonight as President Trump delivers the annual address to the nation. Karen Caifa has a preview of what we can expect.
President Trump set to deliver a State of the Union address that will likely set the table for his run toward November. But he comes to Capitol Hill under historic circumstances. No impeached American president has ever run for re-election. And tomorrow afternoon, the Senate will cast their votes on the charges of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress presented by the House. Republican senators expected to guarantee his acquittal hope he'll stay away from the impeachment process in tonight's speech and instead talk up his administration's accomplishments and why he is deserving of another term.
He's going to make a good speech, and let's just leave it.
Last night, after more than a year of campaigning amidst confusion and chaos in the 2020 Iowa caucuses, candidates taking aim at the president.
Our union is stronger than Donald Trump.
We cannot allow Donald Trump to be reelected to the United States presidency again.
The White House says the president's speech will look at what he has achieved so far.
He's going to be talking to the American people about all the things that this administration has accomplished while Democrats have been focused on a very petty partisan impeachment.
Democratic response to the speech will be delivered by Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan, one of the states that buoyed President Trump to victory in 2016 and one Democrats want back in their column this November. On Capitol Hill, Karen Caifa, KPBS News.
The State of the Union is less than an hour away. We'll have live coverage on KPBS led by PBS NewsHour starting at 6. You can also listen and stream on all KPBS platforms. San Diego will soon host Americans evacuating China due to the coronavirus outbreak. A flight carrying them is on its way to MCAS Miramar. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman is live at the base, which will be used as a quarantine site. Matt, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Mari, you are correct. U.S. citizens are being flown in from China. They're going to be here at at Miramar. They're going to be quarantined for up to 14 days. Now, the earliest I'm being told that those flights could come in would be tomorrow morning. Now, the base here telling me they can hold up to 350 people if needed, and they're expecting to house men, women, and children. This coming as the coronavirus is continuing to dominate headlines. We're just getting word that the death toll out of mainland China has been updated to 490 people. And here in San Diego, Asian businesses say they're hurting because of the coronavirus hysteria.
Do not let social media, do not let rumors turn into stereotypes, turn into bigotry.
San Diego City Councilman Chris Cate and County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher joined Asian business and community leaders in convoy, saying local Asian restaurants are hurting because of the coronavirus.
Although it is right to be concerned and to be vigilant and to continue to monitor what's happening, it is not right to stigmatize or stereotype any of our fellow San Diegans.
The Asian Business Association of San Diego says restaurants aren't seeing as many customers and people are acting inappropriately.
We've heard just a lot of inflammatory comments and things that are just untrue. The virus itself, I mean, any virus knows no ethnic boundaries, right? And I think that's part of the issue, is that it's unfairly characterized in our community just because it originated in an Asian country. So I think that is part of the struggle and being able to communicate to people, because there are no known cases here.
The owner of Jasmine Restaurant says his customers have been understanding. He does say, though, that business is down since news of the virus spreading.
Fake news and rumors and on social media, okay, definitely there's some part of the business being affected, and we see some drop in business.
Jasmine Restaurant is even taking steps to try and make customers feel more comfortable.
We purchase extra sanitizers to be installed in the lobby area, and then also we order a special mouth guard or shield for the dim sum service. Back out here live at Miramar, we are awaiting confirmation on when that flight is supposed to arrive, carrying U.S. citizens from China who may have been exposed to the coronavirus. We can tell you that we know that when that flight gets here, they will be held for 14 days under a federal quarantine. Actually, tonight, MCAS Miramar, they're meeting with families that live on base, basically just explaining to them how this is all going to work out. As you hear an ambulance here in the background, they're going to be explaining to them how it's going to work out. It's not going to be affecting operations on base. As we get more information on when that flight's going to land, we will bring it to you. Here at MCAS Miramar, Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
Thanks for that report, Matt. Angel Stadium in Anaheim, it will hold the first public memorial for victims of the helicopter crash that killed NBA star Kobe Bryant. 3 members of the Altobelli family were on that flight. John Altobelli was a longtime baseball coach for Orange Coast College in Costa Mesa. His wife Carrie and daughter Alyssa also died. Their memorial will be held next Monday, February 10th at Angel Stadium. Public memorials for Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna and others have not been announced. And for the first time since the crash, we're hearing some of the first 911 calls. Here's what 2 people told dispatchers moments after the crash.
Just heard a helicopter go over me approximately from Lost Hills Road on a south to easterly sweep. It went over my head. It's thick in clouds, and then I heard a pop, and it immediately stopped. I'm walking on the trail. I could hear the plane, I think it was, in the clouds. We couldn't see it, and then we just heard a boom and a dead sound, and then I could see the flames.
And those calls were released by the LA County Fire Department. It's unclear what caused the helicopter to crash, but weather is being looked at. The NTSB expects to release a preliminary report sometime this month. Tributes to Kobe Bryant and his daughter continue more than a week after their death. That includes the city many call the Mecca of basketball. Narmeen Chowdhury has the story.
Tributes to basketball legend Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna come in all shapes and sizes. Here in Brooklyn, you'll find this work in progress.
I've always been a Laker fan, so although I'm from New York, I bleed purple and gold.
Born in Queens, Efren Andaluz is a Long Island-based artist. At 33 years old, he says the loss of Bryant and his daughter and 7 others in a tragic helicopter crash was nothing short of devastating.
I just cried because I couldn't believe it. Like, childhood gone, like someone that I looked up to.
Within days, Efren could only process his grief in one way, by creating.
It's definitely therapeutic. Anytime I do artist therapeutic.
Efren also knew he wanted his work displayed in Brooklyn, so he searched on Google Maps, and after finding a building owner who was open to the idea, he came across this home at the corner of Flatbush Avenue and Pacific Street, right across from the Barclays Center.
That's my boy, man.
And though he'd never donned a New York jersey, the impact Bryant's life and career had on any lover of basketball anywhere, especially right here in New York, is undeniable.
It's a motivation.
And it's why this work is capturing a lot of attention.
You got Kobe's face in there?
The artwork is really beautiful, so that's why I stopped and I looked at it.
It captured me. It just made me stop.
The iconic image was first photographed by John Suhu and now brought to life by Efren. A girl dad himself, Efren says he chose this photo to replicate, showing Bryant laying on the court with his head resting on one love while his eyes appear to look into another, his daughter.
His death, of course, like many people's death, didn't go in vain because, you know, unfortunately, we all have to go one day. But I feel like his death, it changed the world in a week.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, Caucus Chaos. Delays announcing the results of the Iowa caucuses. Coming up at 7, right after Evening Edition on KPBS.
The damage was minimal, but the disruption lasted all day. These are pictures from a small brush fire that broke out this morning in Oceanside. Firefighters got it under control, but it burned near railroad tracks. And as a result, service in the area was suspended for most of the day. No word on the fire's cause. One of San Diego's top attractions is getting a facelift of sorts. The Star of India will be dry docked for restoration for at least 10 days. That's starting on February 11th. It's considered the oldest active sailing ship in the world and is a symbol of our waterfront. The Maritime Museum of San Diego received an award of $200,000 from the National Park Service to help with the restoration project. Just say no to winter. That's the message behind a new tourism pitch for San Diego. KPBS reporter Priya Sridhar tells us how the city's latest campaign has a specific target audience.
Where have you been? Take it all in. Tourism is one of San Diego's most important businesses, and today city officials launched a new campaign designed to get people to not only visit San Diego, but to stay.
So San Diego is like every other city in the United States where we're all competing for visitors. We're also all competing for talent, especially STEM talent. So we have an amazing business community that's here, an amazing tourism community that's here, and everyone is looking for an opportunity to grow the economic impact and benefit of their industry sectors.
The Say No to Winter campaign launched in major transit systems in cities like Boston, Chicago, and New York. Officials say they picked those places on purpose.
If you think of the markets that we're targeting, a market like Boston, a market like New York City, a market like Chicago, while the cost of living is high here, the cost of living is even higher in those markets. And what we're trying to appeal to is there's a quality of life here year-round that you can tie into your career and that you can kind of take home with you every single day that you're just not going to find in those other places.
They also have social media ads and this lady, known as Surfer Sam, who is holding a surfboard in Times Square, telling New Yorkers to just say no to winter.
So we are known as being a very warm place to visit, people who are very hospitable, people who are friendly, who are open-minded, who have a lot of things that are happening. We enjoy the outdoors.
They hope that a little sunshine might just get some folks to consider the West Coast as their next vacation or career destination. Priya Sridhar, KPBS News.
Now you can just say no to winter, but you can expect another frigid night in parts of San Diego County. Some areas might set a new record low before things start to warm up. Regina Miller has our forecast.
Some of your weather highlights out there. Well, we could be looking at some record-breaking cold for tonight. In fact, a record from 1894. We're going to approach that. A wind advisory remains in effect until Wednesday morning. And it's going to be sunny and cool in the forecast. So the chill lingers. Our temperature was down to 40 degrees this morning in San Diego. It's going to stay chilly with some sunshine. We do have a wind advisory remaining in effect here, and that's through Wednesday morning. So we'll see 30 to 40 mile per hour gusts into the mountains, about 20 to 30 mile per hour gusts along the coastline. And we also have a freeze warning in effect for tonight. San Bernardino, Riverside counties, the Inland Empire here. So it's going to be a cold one for tonight. Our temperature dropping to 39 degrees. The record from 1894 was 38 degrees. So we are going to be very close here. Temperature for tonight in Borrego Springs, 35, 26 in Ramona tonight, and in Oceanside, only 28 degrees, so bundle up. It is going to still be a chilly day, but mostly dry. We've got lots of sunshine here for your Wednesday with a high temperature in Borrego Springs of 65 degrees. Ramona, after a very cold start, you'll warm it up to 60 degrees. Oceanside should get to 62 degrees, and the winds will diminish as well. Along the coast then, on Thursday, it's sunny and cool, 63 degrees, overnight low dropping into the 30s, mostly sunny on Friday and 65. We're up to 67 by Saturday, and maybe some wet weather around by Sunday. Same thing in inland areas. We'll see mostly sunny skies here. Temperatures gradually start to moderate. We'll get up to 71 by Saturday, and then on Sunday, some rain and drizzle. And into the mountain areas, we have sunny, milder conditions as we go through the weekend, and we have an afternoon shower possible on Sunday. In the desert areas, you can see how we've got plenty of sunshine with the temperatures getting into the mid-70s by the weekend, mostly cloudy on Sunday. That's your forecast. I'm Regina Miller, KPBS News.
Hundreds of children from around the world are living in migrant shelters in Tijuana right now, waiting with their parents to claim asylum in the U.S. As KPBS reporter Max Rivlin-Nadler shows us, a few will one day have to leave the nest.
Every day at 8:30, the doors open at a space called The Nest, where kids from the ages of 0 to 6 are able to play, paint, and build. Each day begins with a song. Then, the children go off to different stations, supervised by volunteers. Like hundreds of other migrant children in Tijuana, they're trying to make it to the United States to claim asylum with their parents. The families are fleeing violence and corruption in Mexico, Central America, the Caribbean, and elsewhere, during a time when America is closing the door on asylum seekers. Some have been sent back to wait in Mexico under the Remain in Mexico program, while others are waiting to be admitted to the U.S. to claim asylum after waiting on an unofficial list for months. Either way, the children are in limbo, while their parents struggle to find stability in a city that has seen spiking levels of violence directed towards migrants. The Nest helps give them a routine, some smiling faces, and a place to be kids, says Elise Ivy, who founded the space.
But the idea is to create a space where children who have been displaced and dragged across borders and away from their homelands and separated from grandparents and aunts and uncles and relatives back home can have a place where they can just be, where they can heal.
The Nest in Tijuana, which opened in September, is one of 4 other spaces for refugees that Ivy has helped open with the Pedagogical Institute of Los Angeles, a nonprofit that focuses on early childhood education. There are 2 in Greece and 1 in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The Nest sits across from the Caritas shelter, which is where the children live for anywhere between 2 to 5 months as they wait to claim asylum. Families share a bed in the overcrowded shelter, which receives no support from the Mexican government. Parents there say the Nest gives their children the opportunity to play in a safe space and gives them time to themselves. Susana Avalos Torres, 18, is from Michoacan. She fled last year with her 2 children after her husband disappeared and she received violent threats. Her 3-year-old daughter Daniela attends the Nest, which she describes as beautiful.
Es algo muy bonito, un lugar muy bonito para los niños.
Not only does it help her daughter, Susanna explains, but it gives her time to help around the shelter.
Pues, por ejemplo, ayudarles a las de la cocina.
She says she gets to work in the communal kitchen or to help clean up the shelter while the kids are occupied. The shelter isn't only helping occupy the youngest migrants. 17-year-old Ana Maderos Chipres is also from Michoacan. She fled political violence with her parents and her 2 siblings. She's been volunteering at the Nest for 3 weeks, helping the younger children play and learn.
Me ayuda mucho porque es relajado y
She says it helps her relax by getting to laugh with the kids during the day. She plans on becoming a teacher when she gets to the United States. Right now, the nest across from the Caritas shelter serves around 30 children a day. This month, its organizers plan on opening a second location in Tijuana, in a canyon that houses the Embajadores de Jesus shelter, which is one of the most isolated shelters in the city. It houses mostly Central American migrants who have been returned to Mexico through the Remain in Mexico program. It's also near Little Haiti, where dozens of Haitians have settled while they decide whether to enter the U.S.
Oh, there's so many children living in these shelters, and they're stuck on mattresses all day long. There's nothing for them, and we know that this is a time of enormous brain development.
Ivy leads us on a tour of the new space, which aims to serve 50 children a day. The conditions in the canyon are extreme. Open sewage and burning trash share space with roosters and farm animals, just a mile from the U.S. border. Still, the goal remains to create a space for children to have space to dream. Ivy is still fundraising to operate the space and is holding an open house next week for volunteers north of the border who want to get involved. For Ana, the migrant volunteer, it's all about making sure the children continue to grow, even if they have no home. She says it's all about keeping their imaginations alive, even as events might dampen them. It's about keeping the kids growing and believing in themselves. In Tijuana, Max Adler, KPBS News.
Tonight, our special election coverage has an update on the money fueling the push to expand the San Diego Convention Center. KPBS reporter Eric Anderson has more.
Measure C calls for an increase in the city's hotel room tax, raising billions of dollars. The money will be used for a huge convention center expansion, homeless programs, and street repairs. San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer is a major supporter, so is the region's tourism industry. Supporters have amassed more than $2.2 million since January of last year to get the measure passed. The Marriott, Hilton, and Manchester Grand Hyatt are the three biggest donors to the Yes for a Better San Diego campaign. The hotel companies near the convention center property have combined to contribute more than half of the money backing the initiative. There is no organized opposition. Measure C requires a two-thirds vote to pass at the polls because it raises taxes for a specific purpose. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
The KPBS Voter Guide will help you navigate the primary ballot. Just enter your location and you'll get the races that apply to your area. And along the way, you can save your choices to make filling out your ballot that much easier. The 2020 KPBS Voter Guide can be found right now at kpbs.org. A new study from UC San Diego has shed light on what might be a super green health food that can help alleviate stomach problems. KPBS Science and Technology reporter Shalina Chatlani looked into this widespread species of algae.
Here we have a typical flask that we use to grow the algae, and as you can see, when they're shaking down there, this helps mix the algae.
UC San Diego scientist Frank Field spends a lot of time in this lab where he and other researchers grow algae samples, including one specific species, Chlamydomonas reinhardti, that he says has been studied and used in different products for decades, but not as a food product.
We've usually explored it as a host for the production of pharmaceuticals or biofuels. But now that we're starting to look at how can we use algae as food, we wanted to focus on this species.
Scientists first looked at the effects of algae in mice and then asked a group of about 50 people to eat a couple of scoops of this free-dried algae powder for a month. Field says it tastes like matcha green tea powder, and you can mix it with water or with other foods.
This is 40 to 50% protein, 10 to 20% oil, some carbohydrates, some fiber, a lot of vitamins.
Half the people in the study had healthy guts. The other half had stomach issues like irritable bowel syndrome.
And what we found in both the case of the mice and our human volunteers is that they both improved in terms of their gastrointestinal function over time as they were eating this algae.
Other forms of algae can be found in nutritional stores, but this specific species is new to the health world. Field says the study shows some preliminary evidence that it could help people with their gut problems.
There hasn't been a study like this before, So this was kind of just the tip of the spear.
Field says the company making this powder algae product is hoping to do a larger study with more people. Shalina Chatlani, KPBS News.
A group of dads in the Bay Area didn't expect a lesson in copyright law when they put on a Parents' Night fundraiser for their kids' elementary school. John Ramos tells us why Disney is asking them to pay up.
In its school calendar listing of the event, the club said it was going to play the most recent CGI version of Disney's The Lion King.
Well, I think one of the dads owned the movie, had bought it at Walmart or something like that, and we just, basically threw it on while the kids were playing in the auditorium.
But just last Thursday, the school got this letter from a company called Swank Movie Licensing USA. The company enforces Disney's cinematic copyrights, and the letter demanded $250 from the school because, well, let's let the kids explain why.
The Disney place wanted some money because they own all of the movies. They showed the movie that they own, so they want the $250. Well, they kind of want the $250.
Copyright law says you cannot play a movie outside of your home to any size audience for entertainment purposes without paying a licensing fee. The dads didn't realize that and now appear to be on the hook for the $250 one-time showing fee.
The event made $800, so if we have to fork over a third of it to Disney, so be it. It's lesson learned.
But Emerson parent and Berkeley City Council member Lori Drosty says there is a larger issue than just Disney's rights. This is not a wealthy school, and the PTA's fundraisers don't just support frivolous items. They help pay for teachers and vital services at the school.
Here you have a company that makes so much money, and we have schools that are struggling so much. What I thought about it was just the irony of having a multi-billion-dollar company essentially ask a school to pay up.
And that was John Ramos reporting. No one knows for sure how the licensing company found out the DVD had been played, and the PTA president plans to pay the fee and ask for donations to make up for the loss. Before we go, a reminder that KPBS will carry live coverage led by PBS NewsHour. That starts at 6.